What I'm going to try to do is to bring you up to speed on how the two worlds of nutrition and medicine are starting to collide and give you a glimpse at the future of what food as medicine will really be like.
Meet Dr. William Li, a highly esteemed Harvard-trained physician. He is recognized for founding the Angiogenesis Foundation, a pioneering organization dedicated to advancing research on the role of blood vessel formation in health and disease. Dr. Li's work has led to more than 40 FDA-approved therapeutics and devices for cancer, cardiovascular disease, wound healing, and vision loss. He is also a New York Times best-selling author with Eat to Beat Disease, The Science on How Your Body Can Heal Itself, and he recently published a new book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, Burn Fat, Heal Your Metabolism, and Live Longer. In today's video, we have extracted Dr. Li's teachings over the years that focus on how foods act as medicine for our bodies to prevent diseases such as cancer. We will also go over 5 important foods that Dr. Li frequently mentions in his seminars and talks, so stay tuned until the very end for all the juicy details.
Actually, most of cancer is due to the environment. And so the interesting thing is, of the environmental causes, about a third are linked to our diet.
And in fact, we're probably forming these microscopic cancers all the time in our body. Autopsy studies from people who died in car accidents have shown that about 40% of women between the ages of 40 and 50 actually have microscopic cancers in their breasts. About 50% of men in their 50s and 60s have microscopic prostate cancers. And virtually 100% of us, by the time we reach our 70s, will have microscopic cancers growing in our thyroid.
How can food help?
Food, in fact, is really one of the most powerful healthcare interventions that we can do for ourselves, because food is the medicine that we put into our body 3 times a day. That's called food is medicine. You put good stuff into your body's going to last longer. You add bad things into your body, it's not going to last as long.
Dr. Li wrote a book on food as medicine in order to educate and share his knowledge with the public. It's important to note that it is not just the 5 foods that we will look at in detail in this video, but many varieties of natural foods that can help us become healthier.
First of all, in my book, I read about 150 foods. I think this is the first book that ever did 150 foods that have been shown by human clinical research that they can actually improve your metabolism, decrease the amount of body fat, reduce your waistline, and improve things like your blood sugars and your insulin sensitivity and the healthy hormones that relate to your metabolism.
Dr. William Li frequently mentions some foods more than others in his talks and interviews. Here are top 5 foods that often come up in his narratives, starting with tomatoes.
There have been some large studies called the Harvard Professionals Follow-Up Study involving 46,000 men that have been followed over 20 years, and it was found that consuming 2 to 3 cups of cooked tomato sauce was associated with a decreased risk of prostate cancer by about 30%. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody avoided prostate cancer, but there was clearly an association with a risk reduction associated with a food that contains a bioactive that we know stops one of the processes that drives cancer growth. Preparing your tomatoes actually makes a difference. You want to simmer your tomatoes about 190 degrees. You'll change the amount of lycopene available for your body. Why? If you eat a typical red tomato off a vine from your garden, it tastes great, you get lots of vitamins from it, but the lycopene is in a form that's called trans, and it's very difficult for your body to absorb. It's one chemical form of the lycopene. If you heat it, you change the chemical structure naturally, and you change the trans to the cis form, and suddenly your body can absorb it. So at 2 minutes of heating tomato sauce, you suddenly make it 50% more available. And after you simmer it for 30 minutes, it's 250 times more available. And so again, how we treat our food makes a difference as well.
Lycopene is a fat-fighting bioactive. Here's what it does. It actually takes our harmful fat and helps to burn it down by activating a special kind of fat we have in our body called brown fat. So good fat can burn down white fat, which is harmful fat, dangerous fat, and eating tomatoes will light that up, improve your metabolism, improves your metabolic profile overall, lowers bad cholesterol. This is all with tomato, and actually shrinks your waistline as well. One study that was done actually took normal, healthy young women who were not overweight or obese, okay, because much of the research is done with people who are already overweight, but this is actually taking young, healthy female grad students who don't have extra weight. They're considered normal body size, whatever that means, okay? That can be debated, but the bottom line is that they had just one tomato to eat before lunch every day, and they were able to lose weight and improve their metabolism. Very achievable dosing. So tomato can actually do it.
There have been studies looking at cooking tomatoes in water, and you can actually get the lycopene out, and you can see that there's some lycopene that goes into the bloodstream. But lycopene, for those of you who have taken chemistry at some point in your careers, is a fat-soluble, it's an oily molecule. It dissolves better in oil than in water, right? So oil and water don't mix. Lycopene loves oil. So while there are all the cautions that have been given to oils in our day today, if you cook tomato sauce in olive oil, the lycopene gets into your bloodstream a lot more easily because it doesn't get flushed through. Now it gets absorbed into your body, all right, by a lot. What kind of olive oil would you want to use? If you look across many of the olive species, there are 3 varietals of olives that have the highest number of anti-angiogenic, cancer-starving polyphenols. One's Italian from Umbria, Moriolo. One is Greek from Peloponnesus. It's the Koroneki olive. One's from Spain. It's called the Picual olives.
Next on the list is dark chocolate.
Chocolate is a confection. Like if you get a Milky Way bar or Three Musketeers, I mean, like Halloween candy, all right, that's a confection. It's got all kinds of stuff and actually not that much real cacao.
Right, yeah.
But get a bar, which you can find in almost any grocery store now, that's 80% or higher chocolate, cacao. Now you're talking about essentially something that's mostly plant-based, because that's what cacao is. It gives you dietary fiber. It gives you polyphenols from the chocolate. And we've done some research that was presented at the American Society of Nutrition's annual meeting that showed that the stuff in dark chocolate can cut off the blood supply feeding cancers. It's anti-inflammatory. And we actually tested with leukemia cells, for example, and it directly is toxic to leukemia cells. It kills leukemia cells.
Next up is kiwi.
Kiwis, right? So these sort of, baseball shaped, little smaller baseball, furry little brown things. You cut them open, they're beautiful and green with seeds, starburst on the inside. I always liked kiwi, but I never really ate them very much. But I started doing the research on them, and kiwi is pretty amazing. First of all, it's a great source of vitamin C and fiber. And the vitamin C actually has tremendous antioxidant effect, and it can protect your DNA. And studies have been shown that actually, if you eat 1 kiwi a day, it'll protect your DNA against damage by about 60%. If we ate 3 kiwis, it would actually help your body build any damaged DNA back by about 60%. And so here's something simple that you can peel, cut up, chop it into a yogurt, or just eat plain. It's delicious. You can put it into a smoothie that actually has this amazing ability to actually protect your genetic material. That's so fundamental, and it tastes great and not too sweet, and it's got a little citrusy flavor. Then the other thing that's great about kiwi is that it's packed with fiber. Now, fiber is basically, a kiwi is essentially a prebiotic food. Its fiber feeds our gut microbiome. And studies have shown, there's a study done in Singapore that showed that just eating a kiwi, even 1 kiwi, overnight will start to change your gut microbiome, favoring more healthy species of bacteria.
Next on the list is pear.
This is a pear, and the reason pears are so great are the fact that they've got chlorogenic acid, which is a bioactive, also found in apples, that can actually activate your metabolism and help you burn down harmful body fat. And chlorogenic acid is also anti-angiogenic, meaning it actually stops blood vessels from growing to tumors. Pretty cool. One of the things that I love about pears is that it's got a lot of dietary fiber. So an average pear has got about 5 or 6 grams of dietary fiber per pear. And a study from MD Anderson showed that just having that amount of dietary fiber can lower the risk of tumor progression or death by about 30% in one study where they looked at people with melanoma on immunotherapy. And so here is actually a food that can actually make medical treatments work better. Dietary fiber, pear, one of my favorites.
And finally, pomegranate.
I have got one of my favorite fruits I want you to know about. You will recognize it, most of you. This is a pomegranate. And inside this are a bunch of these ruby red seeds with juices. This really juicy little seeds. You can put them in salads. You can actually juice them as well. Here's what's in the juice. It's got something called ellagitannins. These are bioactives that can do a lot of great things. One of the things they do is actually they can cut off the blood supply to tumors, so they can starve cancer by cutting off the blood supply. But the other thing that they do is they improve your gut health by helping to grow a bacteria called Akkermansia. This is a guardian of the gut and guardian of health, and it actually comes from the pomegranate. So don't be afraid to pick one of these things up and eat the seeds and juice them if you dare.
Bacteria Akkermansia, which can be grown by drinking pomegranate juice or Concord grape juice or cranberry juice, that seems to be present in every patient who's a positive responder. They benefit. The tumor is wiped out by your immune system in people who get checkpoint inhibitors for their cancer, because we don't know who responds and who doesn't respond. We're beginning to find out that what you eat and how it happens to change the ecosystem of your diet, of your gut bacteria, looks like it can actually make a big difference. And that big difference could be life and death.
As a closing remark, here is how Dr. William Li summarizes his study on food as medicine.
Eat fresh whole foods, mostly plant-based, and cut down or cut out red meat and ultra-processed foods. It's super easy. And remember, there are no superfoods. There's no single food that's going to protect you. It's all the foods that you choose to eat, the diversity, that can help keep our bodies strong. We choose to eat every single day can make a big difference in our immunity.
Don't forget to check out Dr. William Li's latest book and website for more information. Links below.